Hi guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I am your host, Savannah Sharp. This is my weekly mindset motivation, and this is my podcast called Cupcakes and Protein Shakes, where I give amateur competitors a voice. And today we have a special guest, Miss Shayla Wagner, another amateur bikini bodybuilder such as myself. She is a boss babe, and she is a part of Team Boss Bodies, and she has done 3 competitions. She's done 2 regional competitions, and then her second show was a national show where she placed 12. We're going to talk about, most importantly, your reverse diet and just her background and story. So I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode. I had an absolute blast recording it, and I did want to let you guys know that I'm a suit specialist, so don't forget. I know if you guys are listening to this, you might be competitors, you might be thinking about competing. Don't wait to order your suit. Normally, we recommend ordering your suit 10 to 12 weeks out. I work for Angel Competition Bikinis as a suit specialist, so I will include a link in the description box if you'd like to set up your consultation with me so we can design your dream suit. And don't forget as well, I have a supplement code, discount code, if you guys need any supplements for your year. Steel Fit is my go-to. It is code Savannah S. You can save yourself 10% off. Same thing with Angel Competition Bikinis. You can use code Savannah S to save 10% off on any sales that they're running. And then also, if you guys need any heels or jewelry from the Shoe Fairy, you can use code Savannah. And all those description box, check them out. I love you guys so much. And I just wanted to give a special shout out before we get into this episode that Miss Kimberly, my friend, just went pro. And I'm so proud of her. I just wanted to make sure that I included that on the podcast. So Kimberly, if you're listening to this, just know I am so freaking proud of you for becoming a new IFBB bikini pro, and I just can't wait for what's next for you. All right, guys. So let me know if you love this episode by liking this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Savannah Sharp Fitness, and if you have any questions that you would like me to cover on the podcast, slide into my DMs. I would love to hear from you. All right, let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I'm your host, Savannah Sharp, and today I have a fellow competitor with me. This is Shayla Wagner. She's here to share her story. We're going to talk about some fun competitor things and experiences in life and get to know you a little bit better. So, Shayla, I'd love you if you could introduce yourself. What is your name and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Shayla Wagner. I'm from Idaho, a small town outside of Boise called Middleton.
Oh, cool. And how old are you, Shayla?
I'm 33.
33. So tell me about your experience. What has just happened in your life pretty recently?
Well, what's happened in my life? I just celebrated my 10-year wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was so fun. We went to a resort in the mountains, a town called McCall, which we are very big fans of, and just hung out. It was great.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of get into like your lifting history. So when did you start like lifting? Were you always into sports growing up? What was your background?
Yeah, so I've always been pretty active. I've always gone to the gym. I didn't really know necessarily what I was doing in the gym, but I always have at least had a gym membership and gone and worked out. In high school, I was a cheerleader, and then in middle school, I did things like soccer, volleyball, things like that. But really found my passion in cheerleading when I got to high school.
Okay, cool. And then have you been on stage yet?
Yes, yeah, 3 times. So I first competed September of 2020 and won my class and second overall there. And then we went to Universe in November and I got 12th at Universe. And then we competed March at the same show that I got first at, and I got 4th in my class in March.
Okay, so this was a whirlwind. So how did you get introduced into the sport of bodybuilding?
I kind of just knew that so like I said, I was a cheerleader in high school and really missed having that stage and performance, and was following a few people on Instagram, of course, and was like, that's something I want to give it a try and see if I can do it. And so I hired a coach and gave it a go.
And when did that start for you?
So I actually hired a local coach back in March of 2019.
Okay.
And we basically did the building, the learning how to track macros, all that kind of stuff. And then recently in August of 2020, I actually decided to switch coaches and go with my current coach now on Team Boss Body's Corinne Headich.
Oh, you're on Team Boss Bodies?
Yes, I love it.
Okay.
They're amazing.
I love them too. So Boss Bodies is like a really, really great team. When you had your first coach, you said that you were doing macro tracking. Are you currently still doing macros?
Yes, yep. I'm still doing macros. When I joined with Corinne, I was already in prep for a few natural shows. And so I had already been tracking macros. And so when I joined with her, she kind of asked, like, do you want to do macros? Do you want to do meal plan? I said, well, I'm really comfortable doing macros. So she just kind of kept rolling with it.
So what was that like for you, like your first in 2019, when you like first started? Was there anything that you didn't expect?
I guess I didn't expect. So when I was lifting before, I was just doing simple, dumbbell curls and just whatever I could come up with. And my coach, my local coach at the time, had me start doing deadlifts, and I was terrified to do deadlifts. So I didn't know how involved it was. I didn't know how insane the lifting could be. Yeah, it really, really shocked me for sure.
So when you say you're scared of deadlifts, were you scared to like hurt yourself, or were you scared
Yeah.
to like embarrass yourself? Okay.
Yeah, hurt myself, embarrassed myself. I'd always gone to the gym, done some cardio, done some light lifting, but I'd never done, the big compound lifts. And so I was a little nervous and scared. I mean, still to this day, I'm like, am I gonna throw my back out? It scared me at first.
Yeah, I remember that time period of like the weight seemed like such a big deal at the beginning. And then, I mean, probably now you go in there and you're like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the intensity of lifts, we don't want to scare new competitors. So how did your body transform when you started to incorporate different styles of lifting, such as like deadlifts?
Oh my gosh, immediately.
Okay.
Especially the great thing about having a local coach to start out with was I got to learn proper technique, proper reps, proper like rest period between, resting longer between deadlifts versus like dumbbell curls. So honestly, my body, I would say within 2 months started dramatically transforming. And I realized, okay, this is cool. This is fun. I want to keep doing this.
And then when you did your first prep, how many weeks did you prep for?
Okay, so like everybody else, so I actually started prep February of 2020. We had just gotten back from Mexico, and my local coach at the time was like, all right, we're going into prep. We're going to prep for the show in June. I was like, great, let's do it. And then obviously, as everybody else experienced, COVID hit March of 2020. And we thought for sure, we're like, oh, well, let's just keep going because June is still 3 months away. We're fine. Like it'll still go, So we kept prepping. And then May hit, and the show, of course, then got canceled. So then we're like, all right, well, let's shoot for September. There's another show in September that's a pretty good opportunity to go. And so we were planning for September. And then my contract with him ended at the end of July. And I started with Team Boss Bodies in August, and I still wanted to shoot for a show in September. So we were kind of looking online at NPC News, and we found the show in Vegas, which is recently or decently close to me. And so we just kept prepping and then did the show in September. Unexpectedly, of course, won and kept prepping into November. So yeah, my prep was unusually long.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. I started like January 1 and was on a new team. And we're like, let's do July. And then it was like May, and then it was canceled. And then we're like, September. Then I Septembered, and then it was a whole year of prep. But when you were first going into it optimistically in February, as us all were, before the pandemic happened. What was that like to your motivation when things started to shut down? Did you ever have to experience like gyms canceling and at-home workouts?
Yes. So, first of all, I cried. Like, I remember the day I was on the treadmill with my then teammate, and we were walking and we were like, I wonder if they're going to make any announcements about it canceling or not. And we just happened to check it and we're like, oh my gosh, like instantly your heart sinks because you've put so much, you've said no to so many desserts. You've said yes to those early morning cardios, and you've just put so much time and effort. And then your show gets canceled and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's not necessarily for nothing, but you just are instantly heartbroken. Um, and it was hard. It was really hard, but I knew that there was going to be a show eventually. It wasn't the end of the world by any means, but it was rough for sure.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I looked on Instagram and was like, da, 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 checking my feed, and then was like, big sign with like an X was like canceled on my show poster. And I was like, no. And I'm like looking at this and it doesn't feel real at the same time because it's something that since I've been competing since 2017, like I had never experienced what it was like for a show to get canceled. That's just something that doesn't happen. Like sporting events too, they just don't get canceled. They're on this date, they're on that date. Like it was just so weird that this thing could cancel it. And I mean in February we weren't really aware of like how severe it was going to get, and I was like, oh, it's only gonna be like a month or two, like super happy. And I was doing my at-home workouts, and then it started to get harder and harder. I was like, I really miss the gym. When did gyms open up back for you, or did they ever close?
So that's so I work out at Middleton Fitness, shout out Middleton Fitness. And they are awesome. So I think they ended up closing down for maybe 4 weeks. And we, of course, did the home workout thing. My husband, he made, I'll have to send you a picture of it, but he made me like this at home deadlift kit thing. So he put like a wood block with like these bands and a pole, and I was deadlifting at home. It was weird, but it was fun. It was cool at first, right? We were all like, yeah, home workout, no excuses. And then like 2 weeks in, we're all like, this sucks, and when are the gyms going to be back open? And luckily my gym wasn't closed for very long. In fact, our gym decided to reopen despite the order to stay closed. So I'm pretty proud of him for standing up for what he believed in and kept the gym open. So it was awesome.
Good. That's good. Yeah. So I found an underground bodybuilding gym. I can't name it because it's a secret. So I spent 4 weeks out of the gym, and like my commercial gym that I go to, it was closed for like ever. And then I found this gym, and like it was like a speakeasy. Like you couldn't tell anyone there. They're like, no posting, no content, nothing. So I was like, all right, I'm about it. I love this. This is amazing. And everyone there was like true lifters. Like they're willing to like go out and like risk their health to stay healthy. And I never got COVID. Did you ever get COVID?
Not that I tested positive for. Okay. I remember having a cough. I think it was like March time frame-ish, but it wasn't like anything. And I'm looking back now, I'm like, maybe I did, but okay. I don't think so. I remember though, November of 2019, my daughter was so sick, like high fever, just super, super sick. I took her to the doctor and I'm like, well, she for sure has the flu, right? Because we didn't know anything about COVID at the time. And took her in, they tested her for the flu. And, they said, no, she doesn't have the flu, but she definitely has a virus. So you need to keep her home from school. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then looking back now, I'm like, I wonder if she had it, but nobody in my family tested positive for it. So we're thankful for that.
That's really good. So being a mom, let's talk about being a mom. So do you have one kid, or how many kids do you have?
Yes, one. Her name's Caitlin. She's 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how does she feel about you, mom, being a competitor?
Oh my gosh, she loves it. So at first I was kind of a little bit hesitant. You're as a mother, right? You don't want your daughter to think that your appearance is everything, but I was worried, do I get up in a swimsuit as a mom? Like, is that weird? And she looks up to it so much. She's asked to go to the gym with me a few times. And apparently she tells all of her friends. And So it makes me feel good. And she'll show them pictures like, my mom's a bodybuilder, don't mess with me. And so that kind of makes me feel cool that she thinks of it in that aspect, and not like, oh, my mom gets up in a bikini on stage. Like, I'm glad she thinks of it in the bodybuilder sense and not like the bikini side of it. So that makes me feel good. For sure.
That's really exciting, because I always wonder what their perception of it, because for the quote unquote normal person who's not really understanding of it, it can be very hard for, family and friends to understand that. But kids seem to just be like, this is so cool. Like, I want to be just like you. So I like that she's a part of your journey as well. But what about other friends and family? Like, how was that conversation like, of like, I'm a bodybuilder now, like, look at me go?
Yeah.
Were you supportive?
I'm really fortunate. Both my family and my in-laws are all so supportive and so encouraging. And I honestly have never gotten any negative comments or kickback from anyone in my family. Everyone's just so supportive. And so I'm really, really fortunate, because I know not all the time is that the case for competitors, whether it be spouses that don't support them or families that don't support them. So yeah, I got really fortunate that everybody on my side is really supportive of it.
What do you do for work?
So I work for a dentist office, specifically ortho. So I'm his treatment coordinator. So I handle, a lot of his scheduling, treatment coordinating, insurance, kind of the office side of it, if you will, to make it short.
Was it hard to stay on your diet in an office setting?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So for a long time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to expose these guys, because in a dentist office, you're like, okay, they all eat healthy, right? No, nobody eats sugar in a dentist office. But there was probably a span of a few months where somebody brought some sort of treats, whether it's donuts, cookies, Christmas treats, you name it. Everybody at one point brought something every day to the office. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. So I was posting like a story every time. I'm like, well, we're at it again. Here's some more donuts. Here's some more cookies. Yeah, it's really, really hard. And you really have to figure out your discipline. And honestly, I'm appreciative of it, because I have such a sweet tooth, which I know you do too, Savannah. And so you can relate. But sweets are my weakness. Like, I can do cardio at early hours of the day, late hours of the night. I can lift until my arms fall off. I can, you name it. But sweets, oh man, I have such a hard time.
Why can't they taste bad? Like, you would think after we diet for like a long period of time that like you wouldn't like them. But I feel like since I've started my journey, I like them even more now. It's like, and everyone's like, you can't eat that. Can you really eat that? Like, you're in shape. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about the burgers and the pizzas and the pastas. It was like, give me a fat piece of cake, a cupcake, a cookie, anything.
Yes.
Like, I wanted sweet, like I want pancake syrup dripping down. Like, I want it sugar in my veins.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't understand. I was like, you know what?
Definitely. In fact,
I will eat my prep food with like a side of a cookie every day.
Yeah, no, for sure. If we could somehow, make it work in prep, I would be all for it. But yeah, you have to kind of to give those things up or find a healthier alternative to those things. And that was hard. That was really hard.
It was hard. So how are you able to stay disciplined? Like, did you have like a good relationship with food? How has that changed since you've become a bodybuilder?
So I totally understand when you say, I think it's gotten worse ever since I became a bodybuilder. Like, you would think going through that time where you have no sugar, no sweets, no cupcakes, no cookies, no donuts, all that, you would think when you came out of it, at the end of it, you'd be like, oh, I don't miss them or want them. But I feel like it made it even worse. And so now I'm like, I'm such a sweets. Like, I have to have it every weekend. I'm not on prep right now, so that it works out. But I think to the discipline side of it, you just have to decide what you want more. And yes, saying no to a cookie is incredibly, incredibly hard. But when I got on stage for the first time, I remember being like, I'm so proud that I was able to say no to all of those things, because otherwise I'd be up here regretting that decision, and I think you just have to realize there's an end to it, right? It's not like I can't have no cookies the rest of my life just for this short period of time. And it all pays off in the end, for sure.
What were your goals at the beginning of your journey? And then how have they changed to like what they are now?
Great question. So I never thought that I was going to keep doing this. So I wasn't necessarily doing it as a bucket list, but I was more doing it like, let's see how this goes. If I enjoy it, then I'll keep going maybe. But if I don't enjoy it, I'm just glad I know that I was able to prep and have the discipline to get me to this spot. So before I even stepped on stage, I was kind of like, no expectations, let's just see how this goes. Let's see if I even enjoy this. Let's see what all this is even about. And of course, I absolutely fell in love with it. Like later that night, I was telling Corinne, like, are we going to nationals? Like I was already on to the next thing. Like it wasn't even an option in my mind to not continue this sport. Like I was instantly hooked. And I woke up the next morning, it was like 5 a.m. And I was like, I can't wait for the next show. Like I'm already back on my diet. Like I'm already ready to do this. And nationals definitely, it definitely was unexpected. I didn't by any means think I was going to win. In fact, I thought for sure I was going to get last call outs because it was only my second show. And I knew from following a few podcasts such as yourself that people don't just typically go to nationals their second show. They usually, compete for a little while and get the hang of it and then go to nationals. So I was like, well, I'm for sure getting last call outs. Like it is what it is. I'm just excited to experience it. And then I got second call outs and I wasn't even, on the end of second call outs. I was more a little towards the middle. So then I was more and more hooked. And yeah, now my goal is obviously eventually to become pro. And I don't care how long that takes me. My goal is before 40, so 7 years, but I just love doing it. So I don't really care how long it takes me.
Oh, okay. I love that mindset. That's such a good attitude to have because, like I was very similar to I was naive when I first started. Like I was the same thing. It was just a one show. It was a one show. And I was like, all I want in my life is just to win the show. Like, I just want to do it. Like, I just want to say that I had, the discipline and that I actually worked for something. Like I set my mind to it and I achieved it. That was like what I was doing. It was like, I just need to do this for me. And I got on stage. I did really well. I got nationally qualified and was like exactly the same thing. It was like, it's a high. I swear it's a high. Like that feeling, there's nothing else like being on stage, regardless if you do last or first or whatever, just the high that you get from all of the buildup leading towards it and then getting there. And just like, it's so great. Like, it's just the best feeling ever. And then like going through the process of like, in your head, you're like, okay, like don't set expectations. And you're like, I don't care how long this takes. Like, I love that because it's a hard sport. And there's a lot of girls that maybe, do the same thing, but they might go to nationals and get discouraged if they don't get top call outs, if they're not perfect yet. But, it's cool that we've experienced it. So we know like you can actually transform your body, which is something that a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of people, I feel like they look in the mirror and then this constant cycle of I hate myself, I hate my body, and then they eat food, but there's always something that you can do to change it. So have you felt like your journey has impacted those around you, or that has anyone in your life maybe like been inspired by you?
Yeah, actually. So I work out at Middleton Fitness, and there's this gym member there. I won't say her name because I don't know if she wants me to or not, but she recently competed in the Idaho show, which was June. I want to say it was the beginning of June. I lose track.
That's okay.
A few weeks ago. Anyway, she came up to me at that show. She's like, I wanted to let you know that because of you and watching you prep in the gym, I'm here today because I wanted to see if I could do it too. And I was like so blown away because I never would have thought that what I'm doing would inspire somebody else. But then recently I got a message while I was at work on Instagram from a longtime friend. I mean, we go back since I was 15. So quite a few years ago. And she messaged me a video of her flexing. And she's like, I wanted to let you know that this past year, I don't post a lot on Instagram, but you've encouraged me to start lifting, not necessarily the competing side of it. But she's like, I wanted to get strong like you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it made me want to cry at work. And I don't cry often. And so it just really, it meant a lot to know that even if it's just two people, I don't know if there's more or not, but even just two people, like the fact that me doing this makes somebody else want to do it is like, that's so cool that people, you know, are inspired. It's awesome.
Yeah. What is your why? Why do you do this? Why do you continue to do this? And how do you want to use your potential pro platform if you get there?
Oh man, that's a deep question. So my why, I enjoy being healthy. I enjoy feeling strong. I love that my daughter looks up to me for it. I love that I have a way to still be able to do performing on stage like I did when I was in high school. Like there's so many things that remind me of my cheerleading days that it's like, it's enjoyable, right? Like we all want to have a little bit of memories of our childhood or even early teenage years. And so my why is, I guess, to keep going, to see how far I can take this, to see how far I can get. It's making me happy. I think anything in life that makes you happy, if it's a decent thing, of course, keep doing it. Like, don't care what others think. If I become a pro, my platform, of course, to continue to inspire people, that felt good. I never knew what that felt like until just recently. That's an amazing feeling. But I eventually one day want to become a trainer. I want to change people's lives. I want to teach people that being healthy, eating healthy, those kinds of things, it's a good feeling. Like it really is such a good feeling to get your body to the point that you're just comfortable and excited about the changes. And yeah, it's fun. All of it's fun. I enjoy it.
I love that. I'm excited to watch you on your journey. But let's talk about any negative sides of the sport, because there always is. Because you know, you see the glitz, you see the glam, you see the glow up, you see the transformation from before prep to after. You know, but now there's this third transformation of the post show, weight gain, the dreaded post show. So, how have you been doing with your post show weight gain? And how has that approach been? What's your reverse diet like?
Yes. So coming out of my first show, kind of leading into it here, but coming out of my first show in September, we had 7 weeks to prep for nationals. And so my head was still in the game. Like there was no room for messing this up. I had to nail my reverse diet. I had to get right back into prep because I wanted to do well at nationals. I didn't know what well meant, but I wanted to do my best. So I continued prep. So I basically prepped for, you know, another 2 months or so. And I came out of nationals. I was so excited. I got second call outs, which sounds so funny, but I really, really honestly was. I thought I wasn't going to place. So the fact that I got 12th blew my mind. And so I came out of it so, so happy. And right around the corner was Thanksgiving. And I never really had, like I had a post show, like treat after Vegas when I won, but I was like, I got to get back on it. Like there's no steering from the path. And so November came, I got 12th, and I thought I was going to go into basically an off season. And at that point I was so starving, and Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas cookies, and then back to my office where there's treats every day. I did not have the best reverse diet at all. And I had heard so many people talk about how important reverse diet was, and I knew it was important. The temptations just, they kicked my butt. And so come January, my coach was like, hey, that show is again in Vegas in March. Let's get back into prep. We need to get you back on track. And I think we should aim for March. And so I did. And it still took me a little bit. Like, I'll be honest, from November to January, I was just like in this like funk of, I now get what post-show blues mean. And I didn't understand that after my first show because I already had a next goal in mind. And the next goal was so short that I didn't have necessarily time to really think. It was like back on prep, here we go, focus, 7 weeks away. That ended and we didn't even have another show. Not that you should just have a show to reverse diet properly, but I was so new and I didn't understand. And so I just kind of went nuts. And ate whatever I wanted to a point. I mean, I still tried to stay on my diet, but my results showed when I went back to Vegas in March and I placed fourth in my class. I was really upset at myself. I mean, you can scroll through my Instagram, you can't find posts from that show. And I knew it was because I messed up my reverse. I didn't take it seriously. And so that was hard. So I'm still trying to mentally recover from that show because I beat myself up so much about it. So that was definitely the dark side for sure.
Yeah. It happened to me. It happened to me 6 times. So
Really?
every single show, I have not had a successful reverse unless I had a show planned. And even then it's because I think it's because of social media. And I don't want to blame anyone besides myself because it wasn't social media shoving the food down my throat. It was my hands and myself. So I know it was myself, and I'll take that L every day. And I know I should have done better, but it's just like, it was in my mind. It was under this impression. It was almost like I had to. It was almost like I saw everyone else was like, you need to go get the biggest, baddest treat you can find that's this thick and take an epic bite with a picture and like enjoy it instead of just like not doing that, I guess. So I was pretty good at the beginning, but like from nationals, like I had a very long prep. And then I got second call-ups and was really proud of myself. And I was pretty good, but then we immediately started prepping again for another show. So I was okay, but I still feel like the second show that I did, the national show, I was paying for my not as perfect reverse diet. And it was only for about a week's time. It wasn't necessarily binge your face off, but it was have whatever you want to eat. You know, I'd eat some meal preps, I'd eat some cookies. And it's not like you're eating McDonald's. Your body's just so sensitive to everything that I was just putting on the weight. It just was putting on. And then same thing after my last national show in December, then it was Christmas, then it was New Year's, then it was my birthday, then it's about like any holiday and ever. So I'm still paying for that weight that I gained from bad post-show diets. And it's something I didn't believe. I seriously did not believe my coach. I 100%. Even though I had done like 4 shows before my last 2 national shows, I was like, he's a freaking liar. It's like, these cookies, I work so damn hard. I deserve some cookies. Like, I was like, I'm going to have these, like, I'm going to enjoy them. And I did. Trust me, I had enough cookies for a lifetime during a few short weeks, but just, you know, you got to get back on track. And it's something. So each show I learned something. So let's go through your shows and like what you learned from each show. So like first show, what was your like learning moment that you wanted to take into like the next one?
So the first show, man, you don't even know what to expect. So anything coming out of the first show, you learn, right? But I found that I didn't realize it until after the fact, but when I went to Universe, we have a team makeup artist. And so that's nice because that team makeup artist just basically services the girls on your team, which I think there was like maybe 20. I don't know. I'm probably exaggerating. I have no idea we were there. But my first show, I used the show's makeup artist and they ended up running behind and I was so stressed out. And I remember going to Universe and just going to my like team hotel room and there was a makeup artist there and you kind of, the hours aren't so early. Like I remember when I went to my first show, my hours were like 5 a.m. So I remember telling myself like, this is so nice. Maybe I should get like another makeup artist outside the show because that was the only stressful thing about my first show was the makeup and the makeup running behind. And I remember running, like we hadn't even done my hair yet. And Corinne had texted me. She's like, did you do your hair before? And I was like, no. And I'm like, she's like, well, just get down here. Worst case scenario, you'll go on stage with straight hair. Who cares? And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm running down to the lobby and they're like, she's like, okay, we have a couple minutes. I brought my curling iron. We're curling it in the bathroom, like whatever, just trying to make something work. And we're like taking pictures real quick before I go out there. And one of the show promoter guys comes up and he's like, looks at my number and I think it was like 127. He's like 127. And I was like, yeah, because you're supposed to be on stage right now. I was like, what? Oh. And Corinne shoves me down the hallway because coaches couldn't be backstage. It was September. It was just 6 months after COVID. Shoves me down the hallway and I'm running, like trying to like get there And I go into this room, there's nobody in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm almost in tears. Like,
Oh
did I
my
just miss my show?
gosh.
And I like, they're like, what do you need? What do you need? And I was like, I'm supposed to be on stage right now. And they're like, what division are you? And I'm like, bikini. They're like, oh, honey, we're not even done with wellness yet. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like that guy told me I was supposed to be on stage. So he must have gotten my number mixed up with somebody else's. But I go into the next show and I'm pumping up and I just relax. And Corinne's like, calm down, relax, put your feet up. You're good. You're fine. She's texting me these things. So I lay down on the floor. I stick my feet up. And of course I'm sweating because I just ran. Right. So I stick my feet up on the wall and I get up and, there's saran wrap on the floor so we don't get our tan on the carpet. And the girl looks at me. She's like, oh my gosh, you're tan. And my tan was running down my back from all the sweat. I was like, ah! And I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, it's fine. The tanning ladies are right there. They'll fix you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Like yeah. So I guess the long story, but I think the biggest thing that I learned is either I need to learn how to do my own makeup or maybe hire somebody in the area. Because honestly, my first show went so well besides that moment, where I was late with makeup. So that's what I learned from the first show. I guess I have to learn how to do my makeup, which as you can see, I don't wear a lot of makeup.
I don't either. It's hard. I just want them to do it. I'm like, it is my day. Pamper me, make me look good. I will train, which is my job. You will do my makeup, which is your job, and we'll come together and it'll make magic. Yeah.
So I don't know how I'm gonna fix that issue, but that's I guess what I learned from the first show is my makeup, I guess.
Yeah.
Universe, I guess what I learned the most is my reverse diet counts, right?
Yeah.
That was the biggest one.
What did you get feedback wise?
What did I what?
Feedback from first show and then from second show too.
Oh, so my first show, my judge was Becky, which I didn't realize getting in front of her for the first time was like unheard of. So she was awesome. So I had emailed her and my feedback was, I'm trying to think. It was, dang, I have it in an email. Anyways, I think it was bigger glutes, I'm pretty sure. And more developed hamstrings. That's basically what lost my overall winning. I went to Universe and I was so focused on my glutes, my hamstrings, that I ended up like bending my knees and really like pushing, and my glutes ended up overpowering my shoulders. So my only feedback from Universe was to work on my back pose. I went to Universe in a blue suit, and Sandy was my judge at Universe, and she's like, I actually liked you better in red, so I'm going to be in red again. And then my makeup at Universe, they actually said looked muddy. And so that was my only feedback, was work on my back pose, fix my makeup, and go back in red. So those are easy things to fix.
Oh, okay. And then did you have a show after Universe?
Yeah. So I had the same Vegas show that I won my class in March. Okay. And my feedback there, the head judge, her name was Lisa. She had said that not to let my shoulders get any bigger, which I love working my shoulders. So that was really hard feedback to hear. And then I needed to come in more conditioned, which I definitely knew that. I didn't take my reverse diet seriously and paid for it at that show. So yeah, smaller shoulders and more conditioned.
So what does your training split look like right now?
So right now I'm doing basically push, pull, legs. So I'm doing back, shoulders, or like back and triceps, shoulders and biceps, and then hammies and glutes.
And do you do glutes, what, 2 times a week?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you train abs?
Yes. Yeah. So I usually train abs twice a week. I'll usually do them at the end of my programming. So I do them sometimes after my back day, and then I'll rotate and do it after my leg day, depending on how much.
Do you have any secrets in the gym that you want to share on how to grow hamstrings or glutes or shoulders?
Well, shoulders, I'm a big fan of lateral raises. I think most people are. Love my lateral raises. I also love shoulder presses. So I'm working right now. I'm up to 42. So I'm trying to get up to 50. So I think just progressive overload, not necessarily every week, but just trying to go up. Write down where you're at with weights. Next time you do that day, try and go up if you can. Creatine's my secret. I'm a big fan of creatine, so I take creatine every day. I hate working hammies and glutes, but the biggest thing that I found is deficit goblet squats. I really feel in my tie-in area. Sumo deadlifts, much as I hate them, I also feel it a lot in my hammies and tie-in area. And then just good old hip thrusts.
Yeah. What does your cardio protocol look like during prep and then during improvement season?
So right now during improvement season, I'm doing 4 days of 35 minutes at an incline walk. So steady state right now. And then to get 10,000 steps a day. So just make sure my knees up. During prep, when I was going into universe, there wasn't a whole lot of cardio. I think it was like 20 minutes, 3 times a week. I was already pretty lean from the show that I won, and I took my reverse diet seriously. So there wasn't a whole lot of cardio I needed to do. But between universe and my last show, I think it got up to like, I want to say 60 to 70 minutes of cardio, like 6 days a week, because I didn't take my reverse diet seriously. So hopefully there's a trend here. If anybody's going to learn anything from this episode, I know I hear it a lot. I never took it seriously, but gosh, if there's one thing I could do differently this whole journey, it's that reverse diet. Seriously.
Yeah, same. Like, I feel like I'd probably be honestly 10 pounds lighter. Like if I did 2 successful reverse, I probably would have placed higher at my second national show. And I probably currently be sitting 10 pounds lighter and probably could prep like an 8-week prep with like high calories, not a lot of cardio. Now I'm paying for it and I'm like very high above stage weight and gonna have to do, well, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with my prep. It's a little different because I had some thyroid and hormone issues, which I honestly think it could have been from my reverse diet, to be honest. Like having that flux of like lean and then so it was like huge weight gain. Like that's not healthy for you. Like it should be like wherever you're going, it should be like very slow or like very this way. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as far as like posing and presentation, what is your practice routine like? And then did you adjust pretty well to learning the posing?
Yes. So originally when I started training for show, I was training for a natural bodybuilding division, and their postings, as I'm sure you probably know, is entirely different than the NPC. And so when, bless her heart, when I came to Corinne, she had a lot of work on her hands. And she really worked with me. And I think it was like every single Sunday we would do a posing session, about an hour. And she would screenshot the things it was great. She would actually screenshot the things she wanted me to fix. And then she would send me a photo of her doing that pose and what I needed to fix about it. The only posing feedback I ever got was from Sandy at Universe, that I was bending my knees too much. And I remember Corinne being like, we didn't practice that. Why are you doing that? And I'm like, I don't know. I blacked out on stage. I have no idea. I can't answer to myself from that moment. But I look at the pictures and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I remember standing up there being like, I got to make my hammies pop and I got to make my glutes, appear bigger. And I just bent my knees for some stinking reason. But other than that, posing has never been any of my feedback, which I give all credit to my coach. She's incredible at what she does, especially when it comes to posing.
What advice do you have for someone that's learning posing? Like how often should they practice? And like, what, do you have any tips? Like what you remember on stage? Like if you like switch, my hand this way or whatever you think about on stage.
Yeah. In fact, I was listening to, I think it was an episode or 2 ago of yours, and you're like, I will between sets pose. Like, who cares what people think of you at the gym? And I'm like, that's true. And that's kind of what I do. Like in between sets, I'll kind of like stand there and like do a little bit of my posing, and people will look at me funny and I'm like, whatever. I feel like if small of a gym I am now, I think they kind of figure out what I'm doing. So people don't judge me as much as I think they do. But like in the bathrooms, like when I'm at public bathrooms, you know, like real quick, wash your hands. And then before you leave, you know, do a little pose, turn around and leave. Yeah. So I think honestly, it just has to be something that's in your mind every day. And when I'm watching pro shows or national shows, I'm kind of like picking things out that I liked about either the winners or even just girls I saw on stage, like incorporating that into my routine and just constantly learning from watching shows and evolving and adding it to my routine, and just constantly changing, right? You don't want to do the same poses in the same routine your whole entire time. Like it changes pretty much weekly, even in the national shows, what judges like and what they don't like and what you should do and not do. So it's constantly changing for me.
Okay. And now, how long are you going to be in improvement season, and what is next for you guys? Like, what is your goal and like strategy for the next time you'll be on stage?
You know, we've talked, me and Kern have talked about when my next show is going to be, and I'm pretty sure it's a go. I don't know for sure, but I'm just trying to make improvements, enjoy it, make sure I'm in the right mindset to where I know I'm going to have a good reverse, because I want to come out of my next show killing my reverse. Like that is my biggest goal among everything else. I don't care about placement. I don't care about winning. I just want to make sure that I'm going from show to show, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And reverse is one thing that I'm struggling the most with. And so that's kind of my main focus. And I know to have a good reverse, you have to be in a good mindset to go into the show in the first place. And so we're shooting for possibly November here in Idaho, but that would require me starting at the beginning of July. And so we'll see, which is literally just 2 weeks away. So we'll see if I'm ready for that, but nothing official yet.
Okay. I like that plan too. That's kind of like what I'm doing. And for the first time ever, I'm prepping without, well, I'm not, I say that because life for me is a prep. So I'm like, there's always the next show coming, but I'm not technically in a calorie deficit. But just like making the improvements until my body will like tell us when we're ready to go. And like, once everything's good in order, and I'm ready to diet, like I'm ready to crush this, then we'll kind of do that. But I think this sport is really cool just because it opens a lot of different doors and things like that. So have you met any people backstage that you still like talk to? Like, have you met any people? Like, how has the social aspect of this sport been for you?
Yeah, so my first show, actually, Ashley Callwalter, shout out, your teammate.
Yeah.
She was actually giving out the overall at my show, my very first show ever. So I got to meet her, which was super, super awesome. And another person I got to meet at my first show was Celeste, another podcast host. And so that was cool. So I got to meet two people who I was really looking up to and taking advice from, because obviously both of them have a podcast. I was listening to both of theirs. So meeting both of them at my first show was insane. Like I'm like, is this what it's always like? Or did I just like somehow fall into this? So that was super cool. I've met a lot of my Team Boss Bodies teammates, and all of them are just so incredible. And it's such a like supporting community. I've yet to meet a girl who I'm like, I don't know if we can get along. Like all of us just get along, support each other. It's a sisterhood. It's a sorority, if you will. It's just so cool. Everyone I've met. Let's see who else. I met Lexus Redmond. She's super cool. I've even met there was a few pros that have come into my state that I've met, and it's just, I don't know, it's awesome. It's a pretty cool experience. I met Jay Cutler at the Idaho show here recently, and it's cool to see all these people that you follow and look up to, and then you end up at a show with them and you're like, what is, like, this is my life. I'm meeting these people. It's super cool.
What was your experience at nationals? Did you feel overwhelmed backstage?
So I thought I was going to, honestly, because I'd heard and seen so many. I mean, I've been following along on so many people's journeys that I know what to decently expect. But Universe was a team show for us. So we actually had quite a few of our teammates there. So we were kind of all in, a little circle backstage with our blankets and our pump up food. And it wasn't overwhelming to me, honestly. Like everything went so smooth. Like we went to Casey, who's the owner of Team Boss Body. So we went to her hotel room and got all of our makeup done. So that was nice. Of course, they weren't on, running behind. And going backstage, like I got to meet and hang out with all my teammates, and we all tan together. So our team does a team tanning. So we're all in the hotel room, naked tanning together. And I don't know if there's a better way to meet somebody, but I met so many of my teammates standing in the hotel room, drying off naked with our tan. And I wasn't overwhelmed, not once. And I think, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with our team. Like they just make you feel so welcome. And Shalane was there. She's our team mom. So she was making sure we were all comfortable. And yeah, no, I wasn't overwhelmed at all.
That's awesome. So what is your favorite memory from competing so far?
Gosh. Well, so I met Corinne for the first time at my first show. And then I won True Novice, and then I won my class, and then second overall. That was such an incredible memory because I just remember being like, whatever, I'm going to botch this. I'm going to get last. Everyone's going to make fun of me. I don't even know what I'm doing. And to win, like, it was such an incredible feeling. Like you said, a high, like you're just constantly chasing that high. And it was, meeting her was amazing. And then I met another one of my teammates who lives in Vegas. That's where my first show was. So she met me there to watch the show. I'd never met her before. So that was super cool. That first show was just, I don't know. It was definitely one of my favorites. Universe was a cool memory just because to see how many competitors are backstage, and that national stage is just so much different than, a local regional show. Being judged by Sandy. I mean, what? She judges the Olympia. Like I'm being judged by this woman. So that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know that I guess winning like my first show was probably my best memory for sure.
Okay. So if there's anyone out there that is listening to this, that is thinking about starting a fitness journey, just fitness, not like bodybuilding or anything, what is your advice to that person?
Oh man. Track your food. No matter what it is, track your food. Honestly, food is definitely a big part of fitness. Everybody, can lift weights and work out. Food, in my opinion, takes a lot of discipline and a lot of work. So definitely track your food and give yourself grace. Like I sometimes am really hard on myself, but I look back when I started and I'm like, I have come so far since then. Like I can't beat myself up how I am right now. But give yourself grace. Everybody messes up. Everybody, cheats on their diet. Maybe not necessarily right before a show, but everybody does eventually, go overboard on their diet or not hit it enough, depending on the kind of person. And just be consistent, lift heavy, try to always improve, whatever, write down your numbers, whatever they are, try to just do better next week. So, yeah.
What about the competitor advice? So someone that is getting ready to do their first show, what advice do you want to give them?
I mean, I still feel like I'm a new competitor and need all the advice, but, oh man, just enjoy it. It goes by so fast. Oh my gosh. Like I have to look at pictures to remember some of the memories from the shows because it literally is like, wake up, run and get your makeup done, do your hair, grab your stuff, go to the place, and then just sit down and wait. Like you're hurrying and hurrying all morning and then you just wait, but just enjoy it. Have no expectations, zero. Like just go in it to have fun. And then however it ends up, take those feedbacks, go on to the next show, and just enjoy the journey. If you're just trying to chase necessarily a win or a placing, I don't feel like you're going to enjoy it because even the best people in the world lose eventually. So if you're going to get so hung up on winning or losing, I feel like you're going to be miserable. So just enjoy it and no expectations and it'll work out.
I love that. So final question, super easy. Are you team cupcake? Are you team protein shake?
Oh, I'm a sweets person. I guess it would it would probably depend on the day. If I'm extra motivated that day, definitely team protein shake. If maybe I'm craving something a little sweet and I'm not on prep too close to a show, then definitely a cupcake.
Okay. And then, so what is your favorite protein shake? And then what is your favorite cupcake?
So I'm a huge chocolate peanut butter lover. So definitely a chocolate peanut butter shake. Cupcake, probably the same thing, a chocolate cupcake with like peanut butter frosting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hungry.
You're talking my language now.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure to get to know you and your journey, and I'm excited to like follow your journey to hopefully the pro stage. And I'm hoping we can meet each other maybe at a show in the future. I would absolutely love that. So we expect nothing but good things for you, and I just wish you the best of luck on your journey wherever it takes you. And thanks for sharing your story. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and you're inspiring more people than you know. So just remember that at the end of the day, like it does get hard, there are those hard days, but everything happens as it's supposed to be. So I'm excited that we got to connect. And if you're listening to this, I hope you guys stick to your dang reverses. Just
take anything away. Just stick to your reverse. Yes.
Okay. And then finally,
awesome. Thank you, Savannah.
You're welcome. Where can our listeners find you on social media if they just wanted to let you know that they were listening to this episode?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Shayla Wagner at Instagram, or I guess at Shayla Wagner. I don't even know what I'm doing. Facebook is just my name, Shayla Wagner. And those are the only two social medias I have. So,
okay. Well, sounds good. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And thank you guys for listening.